Hello, welcome back to the Modern Leader Way. It's me, Emma, and I am coming at you with something a little bit more thoughtful today because I have been thinking a lot about what it's all for. Why do we get out of bed every morning? Why do we go to work? Why do we do the same thing in, day out? Why do we put up with something that perhaps is suboptimal for our energy and our biggest dreams? And really, do we know why we're doing it? So I've been having a lot more of an honest, open conversation on my socials about um, how in the past I have always wanted to help women really thrive in the corporate world because I was trying to be a me for me when I was there, right? And I make no secret about the fact that I had this very positive, outgoing, confident facade in the corporate world. People look to me as, wow, she's always taking these opportunities. She's always like going bigger and she does the scary things. I'm not sure I could do what she does. And yet on the inside, I was kind of crumbling. And a lot of the time when I was doing these, big scary things, whether it was speaking on stages to hundreds of people or flying around the world to see clients on my own, part of me was feeling like I wasn't good enough and I didn't deserve to be there. And how was I going to cope? And when was someone going to find out that I wasn't really good enough and that they need to take it all away from me? So very rarely enjoyed the privileges and the benefits that came with working for a Fortune 500 company that had a lot of money to spend on travel and sending us places and our personal development and all that kind of thing because I was so consumed with when am I going to get caught out as the fraud that I am. And when I think about why I did it day in, day out then, it's because I thought that's all that was available to me. I didn't really look outside of my current reality and dream different. I didn't imagine there could be another way because I had been brought up to very much see a job for life as a real secure financial move to ensure that I could pay my mortgage off, ideally sometime in your late 40s or 50s even, and then pay into a pension pot that was going to ensure that you could have a quality of life after you stop working, which for us now is possibly going to be, I don't know, 70 plus if we ever do stop working, right? And that was ingrained in me from my parents because that's what they wanted for themselves, because that's what they didn't see their parents have. Both sets of parents had very different upbringings. My mum was brought up on farms, and my granddad worked very hard on the farm. My nan, um, she brought up four girls. And my dad's mum and dad split up when he was about 13. And, my granddad was a self-employed newsagent, shop owner. He also had a cafe a bit later on in life. And, it was a struggle, never particularly flush. My dad's mum was a nurse and she died in her early 50s. So yeah, they obviously grew up not having that financial security as such and wanted it for themselves and for their kids, and obviously brought us up to have the same values and to see benefit in getting that job for life. And that's what I did. I left school at 18 and you could say it was luck, you could say it was fortuitous that I walked into an admin role, and 20 years later, I'd worked my way around and up within the organisation and done all right, working for a six-figure salary. My bonuses on an annual basis were as much as some of my friends' annual salary. I had the car on the drive. I had the detached house. I had the Mulberry handbag and the holidays every year. We'd go to New Zealand for 3 weeks, or we went to Argentina or Australia for a few weeks. We did life well, and we ate out a lot, and we ate a lot of takeaways. And we didn't really want for much because my salary was such that it enabled Adam to build up his business from scratch and not worry too much about bringing in the money at the time. But if I'm honest, I was never particularly happy. I had happy moments. A lot of it happened around 4 o'clock on a Friday. And it was short-lived because on a Sunday night I was laptop out trying to get ahead of myself for the week. And when I think about it, this is what I talk about when I talk about that empty success or success that feels shallow, because it affords you material things in life. It affords you these experiences and the ability to not worry about money and where it's going to come from every month. But it was lacking something else. It was empty in many other ways. And that, I think, what I was missing was fulfillment. So when I ask what's it all for, right? Is it for the material things? Because I ask that question oftentimes, people say, "Oh no, no, like I could do without many of my material things." Okay, so what is it? And we go deeper. Like, what is it all for? Like, what are you doing this for? Because unless you know, and you know that what you're doing is actually in alignment with what you're doing it for, then you could waste a lot of your life. And if you're listening to this, I'm gonna guess you're in the kind of second half of your life or coming up to it, that you have created a level of success that looks good on paper, i.e., you have the things, you've got your pad, you're probably in a mortgage or mortgage free, or getting to that point. You've got a good pension, you're getting good benefits from work, and maybe you're getting a bonus every year. But what else? Like, what is it for? Like, beyond the annual holidays every year, beyond like being able to afford the things that you want for your home or for your family, what's it all for? Now, this is what I created the success roadmap for, was to help you go a bit deeper below the surface and actually explore this for yourself. And there is a couple of exercises in there. If you haven't already got it, there is always a link in the show notes, or you can head to emmaclaytonxo.com/free resources. You'll be able to navigate it from the top bar and find the free success roadmap. Like, download it. It's a little PDF that you get to work through. And a couple of exercises, sorry, that are in there. One is a values exercise. And I did this early on when I left work, or when I was deciding to leave work. I actually went through my values exercise. And what I realized was really important to me, and what I wanted to do anything for, was ultimately for a few things. One was fulfillment, as I've already talked about. Like, I didn't just want empty success. I wanted a deep feeling of fulfillment. Like, I've made a difference in the world. Like, this work I do is meaningful and it has impacted others' lives, right? Fulfillment. At the end of the day, I want to feel fulfilled. I want to feel like my hard work is all because of just something bigger than me, right? So fulfillment was one of those things. Freedom. Freedom for me was something that was super important. Now, I've always been very independent, so actually traveling around the world, going through airports, eating in restaurants on my own, never really a big deal. I've been on beach holidays on my own. I'm not afraid to jump on a red top bus and explore a city on my own. That's not a problem. Independence has always kind of been something that I've felt even from a very young age. I wanted that independence. I wanted to be like, to spend time on my own. I loved going out on my bike and just feeling the wind in my hair and getting the speed under my wheels and just like free flowing down a hill. Just that independence, that freedom. But actually, freedom goes a bit of a step further than that for me because it's like freedom to do what I want with who I want when I want, right? And actually, I couldn't do that as an employee because whilst I had the very glamorous business class travel and staying in all the nice hotels, I had no choice over where that was. I knew that I just had to be in Zurich again next month. And, it becomes something like traveling to Zurich or Switzerland, which is a fabulous country, becomes a bit of a chore because you're here for the sixth time this year and you've got no choice over it really. Um, the days at which you travel weren't necessarily your choice. You didn't have any freedom around that necessarily. You had to be there for a meeting at a certain time and then you had to stay there until such a time. Now, I did always kind of push the limits a little bit. So, for example, I talk about the time that I went to Singapore and Hong Kong before I, hopped over to Bali for a few weeks. So I got my first business class flights paid for to Hong Kong and back from Singapore. And I did my own little trip to Bali whilst I was there. So, I actually saved a lot of money by doing it that way. And I created freedom within the boundaries of my travel to Asia. Another time we did a little trip around the US. We flew to, I think we flew to New York. No, we flew to San Francisco, then we flew to Boston, and then we got the train down to New York. And I just made it so that we could actually have an extended weekend in San Francisco. Now, I say we, that was me and my colleague at the time. Um, so, there was ways you could orchestrate a little bit of freedom within the schedule. But ultimately, there was a lack of freedom to do what I wanted to do, especially when it came to, travel in a bit more loose and fancy free and having more than 3 weeks off maybe in my life, which I had never had. I think 3 weeks was my maximum when we went to New Zealand, and actually 3 days of that was wasted in Heathrow Airport traveling in snow. We got caught in Heathrow because a big wall of snow just dumped on London and no planes left for 24 hours. And then we just got put on standby for 3 days. It was absolutely hideous. I'd worked all year for that and waited all year for those flights that I'd booked in the March. And here we are just before Christmas, waiting to go on our dream holiday. And 3 days are being spent in bloody Heathrow. So, anyway, freedom for me was a big part of my why, like why I'm going to do whatever I do, because it's going to create that freedom in my life to do what I want when I want with who I want. Um, and then fun. And I know there's a bit of alliteration here with all the F's, but fun. I wanted to have more fun because what I was finding with my work was, and tell me if you resonate, and I know many women do, was that I didn't have any energy for having any fun by the end of the week. If all my fun was limited to the weekends, I was often knackered. In fact, Adam's mum said to me not so long ago that she likes me more now because I used to go round there for a Sunday dinner or whatever, and I'd fall asleep on the sofa. And I was like, yeah, no shit. I was knackered. Like I was literally knackered from the week. Probably didn't want to socialize and was having to, do the polite thing and go to the in-laws. And so yeah, it's no wonder you like me more now because I am more fun to be around because I'm not knackered all the time and I choose what fun I want to have when. And the other thing for me was authenticity. And like this is a big part of the modern leader way, right? It's what the modern leader way is all about. It's about helping you remember who the fuck you are so that you can be more you. Like it sounds cliche, but ultimately, when you look at what I've been doing for the last 8 years since I left corporate, it's been about that. It's been about me being as me as I can be, and then showing that online and showing that you can also kind of unlearn some of those things that you've learnt to be in your lifetime to reveal layers of you that perhaps you didn't even know existed because you hadn't explored them in your adult life before. And a lot of that comes back to remembering what you used to love as a kid, remembering what used to light you up, remembering being on that bike and having your hair in the wind and going as fast as you can down a hill, feeling that freedom, feeling that fun and joy just in being you. So these are kind of cornerstones of what I have built my business on. And actually, last week I ended up at Ideas Fest. I didn't end up there. I planned to be there all along. I went last year with my friend Sue. She came for one day because she wasn't sure what it was all about. I had no idea what it was about, but I booked both days. I did a little outing, little road trip in my van, which for me is the epitome of freedom because that gives me the independence and the freedom to, do what I want to do. To go, do you know what? We're going to go and work at the beach today, or we're going to go and work up the cliffs after our walk and take my laptop and sit in the van and sit with the view and be in the sun and just be out in nature for a bit longer rather than sitting behind my desk. Like my van is like, it might as well be called the Freedom Van because that's what the vibe is. Um, so took myself off on a road trip, went to Ideas Fest, which is a 2 day, it's basically called the Glastonbury for Founders. So it's all business owners, something like 4,000 business owners in a field. It's where business meets festival vibes. And there's many talks on, there's all these different tents. You have conversations that matter, you have entrepreneurial spirit, you had the unapologetic stage, you had the investors stage. And this year, thanks to the commitment I made to myself at the beginning of the year to actually get out to as many different events as I could, and you probably, if you follow me on social media, will have seen the amount of events I have taken myself off to this year. Because of that, I've met an awful lot of fellow business owners, entrepreneurs on the way who end up in the same events. And oh my God, did I not only have the freedom to be myself and wear what I wanted in the field and be comfortable in my own skin and to be happy just meeting people and being me. But did I have fun? Oh my God, it was so much fun. And if you've seen my stories and my reels ever since, then you'll have seen me playing dress up. You'll have seen me at Elizabeth Carly Leonard's game show, which was just so much fun. Honestly, I've never been to an event that was just that much fun vibes. And I just thought, wow, my life is just so different now than it was, but it's been so on purpose. And that's what I want for you. When I talk about redefining success on your terms, I'm not saying you have to leave your job. If you're happy there, if you do get that sense of fulfillment, or if that doesn't matter to you because it's not something that's of importance, fill your boots. Like I'm all for helping you thrive in life and work or business in whatever that looks like for you. The modern leader way is your way, remember? It's not my way. So when I talk about success redefined, it's actually doing that. It's just taking a step back. It's taking a minute for yourself to go, what is it all for? Why am I doing this? Am I happy? Am I like, is this what I thought it would be? And actually just taking that time. And this is what when I take you for some time out in my day retreats, in my Spain retreat, in my VIP days, game changers days, or even in a game plan session. This is what I'm doing with you. I'm giving you that space for time out to think for yourself, to go deeper beneath the surface and actually explore some of this shit, to get out of your head all of the things that perhaps you've been keeping in there because you don't know what to do with it, you don't know how to express it, you don't know how to bring it into reality because maybe the change feels too big or too scary, or maybe you don't know if it's really for you. But actually, the beauty, the joy in taking that time out for yourself is you just get to express it. You just get to explore it without any commitment, without needing to make any major changes to your life, just to explore it, just to plant a seed, maybe, to open up the possibility of something different. If you know that what you're doing right now is not it. it's not what you want to do for the next 10, 15, 20 years. If you can't see yourself putting up for much longer because you don't want to waste this one precious life that we have doing something that doesn't light you up, that doesn't fulfill you or give you freedom or allow you to be yourself, whatever that is for you, then you get to take that step back. And seriously, download the success roadmap and let me know how you get on. Let me know what your values are, what it is that you're doing this for. And if you can start to see, start to plant that seed of what else is out there for you, what else is available for you on the other side of, being the good little girl and doing the thing that your parents thought was good for you. Um, yeah, you know where I am. That's the point at which we get to work together. This is what I'm passionate about, guys, whether it's, in your work, in your career, in corporate or in your business. If you've got to that point and you're like, it's not this, but you don't know what that is, then let's chat because there's many ways that we can do that. And if you just want to start, dive in with the success roadmap. It's free, it's easy, you can work through it in your own time. It's a nice Sunday afternoon thing to sit down and do with a cup of tea. But I'd love to hear what you come up with, what your drivers are for success on your terms, not on someone else's. So I'll leave you with that. If you have any questions come up after this one, let me know. And yeah, I will see you next week. I'm actually off to another event this weekend, Susie Ashworth Infinite Receiving event. So it's quite soon after the last one. And no doubt I'll have more to say about that next week. All right, so take care.